Things are not what they seem. Check the motivation and the intention they bring. Things are not what they seem. Check the money trail if you know what I mean. 100 years has passed.
The presidential election in the Republic, a corporate overlay on sovereignty. As the 2024 presidential election approaches, millions of Americans are preparing to cast their votes, believing they are engaging in a democratic process that aligns with the ideals set forth by the Founding Fathers. But this assumption masks a deeper, more complex reality. Rather than choosing a representative of a sovereign republic, voters may be selecting a corporate executive in a quasi-governmental system. This framework, often referred to as the federal overlay, operates through contractual obligations and identifiers such as Social Security numbers, SSNs, and Employer Identification Numbers, EINs, that function outside the Constitution's original intent. The duality of the United States, republic versus federal corporation. Originally, the United States was founded as a union of sovereign states, independent entities that voluntarily joined under a compact for limited federal governance. The Constitution outlined a federal government with strictly enumerated powers, leaving all remaining rights to the states and the people. This framework intended the federal government to serve the states, not to dominate them. However, this structure began to shift dramatically after the Civil War and the ratification of the 14th Amendment in 1868. The amendment introduced the concept of a citizen of the United States, creating a new federal citizenship distinct from state citizenship. Many legal scholars argue that this federal citizenship places individuals under the jurisdiction of a corporate-like federal entity, separate from the republic envisioned by the Founding Fathers. Consequently, when people participate in federal elections, they may be engaging in a system overseen by a quasi-corporate government that operates through identifiers like SSNs and EINs and is governed by federal statutes and regulations. SSNs, EINs, and the corporate contract. The Social Security number, introduced in 1936, has evolved from a Social Security benefits tracking tool to a near-universal identifier that embeds individuals within the federal system. For many, accepting an SSN may represent a form of contractual consent to federal jurisdiction, extending beyond the rights associated with state citizenship under the Republic. Similarly, the EIN assigns businesses a federal identity, drawing them into a complex web of federal obligations. By entering this system, individuals and businesses may inadvertently accept the authority of a quasi-governmental corporate structure that functions above the Republic, operating through statutes and executive directives rather than the Constitution's original framework. Presidential elections, voting for a corporate executive. In this context, the presidential election takes on a different meaning. Some argue that by voting in a federal election, individuals are not choosing a president of the Republic, but rather an executive of the corporate-style federal government that administers federal citizens and federal territories. Rather than representing the interests of the Republic of Sovereign States, the president may function more as a CEO tasked with managing the federal administration and overseeing the privileges and regulations associated with federal citizenship. This perspective raises important questions. Are Americans participating in a representative democracy as intended by the Constitution, or are they engaged in a corporate selection process with limited impact on the sovereignty of their states? Many believe that true political power within a republic lies in state governance, and that the original compact of the United States was meant to prioritize local sovereignty over centralized authority. Reclaiming the Republic, a path forward. For those who view federal citizenship as a contractual relationship with a corporate entity, the path forward lies in reclaiming the original framework of the Republic. This might involve individuals reaffirming their status as state citizens, questioning federal identifiers, and challenging the application of federal regulations that exceed the Constitution's enumerated powers. State governments could also play a stronger role in asserting their sovereignty, limiting federal reach within their jurisdictions. This approach echoes the early calls for states' rights and local governance. By focusing on state-level governance, and reducing reliance on federal systems, advocates believe Americans can begin to reclaim the republic and restore the primary role of states in safeguarding citizens' rights. As Americans head to the polls, it's worth reflecting on whether their votes support a republic or an administrative corporate system that has gradually overlaid constitutional governance. This understanding may shape how citizens view their relationship with the federal government, renewing discussions on the balance between state and federal power, sovereignty, and individual rights. Footnotes 1. See John T. Flynn, The Decline of the American Republic, New York, Doubleday, 1955, 72-73. 2. Edwin Vieira, Jr., The Corporate Structure of the Federal Government, in Constitutional Economics, San Francisco, Constitutional Press, 1991, 149-52. 3. U.S. Constitution 10th Amendment. 4. Slaughterhouse Cases, 83 U.S. 36, 1873. 5. Charles A. Beard, An Economic Interpretation of the Constitution of the United States, New York, Macmillan, 1913, 146-48. 6. Ralph Borsodi, Flight from the City, New York, Harper, 1933, 98-101. 7. Andrew J. McClurg, Federal Jurisdiction, The Federal Overlay on the American Republic, Washington, D.C., Liberty Press, 2005, 32-33. 8. Robert G. Nadelson, The Constitution and Corporate Governance, Constitutional Law Review 13, No. 2, 2007, 215. 9. Federal Citizenship and Corporate Governance, Journal of American Legal History 19, No. 3, 1999, 192-93. 10. Federalism and the Republic, American Political Science Quarterly 14, No. 1, 1978, 54. 11. Thomas E. Woods, Jr., Nullification, How to Resist Federal Tyranny in the 21st Century, Washington, D.C., Regnery Publishing, 2010, 62-65.
Deception is the game as they sell you the hype. They bankrupt the nation to steal away your rights. Private credit nation off their private bankroll. U.S. commercial debtor on the dollar bill. Sign up for all their social security. More ways to gain jurisdiction, take away your money. Commercial debtor in a commercial system. Commercial citizen under regulation. Things are not what they seem. Check the motivation and the intention they bring. Things are not what they seem. Check the money trail if you know what I mean. Deception is the game as they sell you the hype. They bankrupt the nation to steal away your rights. Private credit nation off their private bankroll. U.S. commercial debt.